Good day, everyone. You are welcome to today's class. Today, we shall be looking at the different theories of learning and their implications for biology teaching. When we talk about learning theories, they are conceptual frameworks in which knowledge is absorbed, processed, and retained during learning. That is, they are the framework on which knowledge is being absorbed, processed, and as well retained during learning. So we are going to look at one or two theories. We have so many learning theories, but in this case, we are just going to look at few theories and see their implications for the teaching of biology. The first one we're going to look at is operant conditioning. Operant conditioning is a theory that was provided by Skinner, and the idea of this theory is that learning is a function of change in overt behavior. That is, changes in behavior are the result of an individual's response to events that occur in the environment. What this theory is trying to say is that you observe that learning has taken place when you see a change in overt behavior of an individual. The teaching is referred to as the stimuli, while the learning is a response to the stimuli. So while you have the teaching being a stimuli, the learning that has taken place is what we refer to as a stimuli. And what are the implications? The implications in teaching and learning of biology is that learning is a function of the nature of the stimulus. That is, the learning that will take place, the learning of biology concept that will take place, is a function of the teaching that has taken place. And it is also the nature of response as well as the state of learning of an organism. So the teacher must arrange for intrinsic reinforcement as well as natural reinforcers that comes later. So it is the implication of this theory in the teaching of biology is that the biology teacher must have it in mind that the learning of biology concept is a function of the nature of the teaching that takes place, the nature of the response that the student gives, as well as the state of the learning. And so, when learning of biology concept has taken place, you can observe this through change in the student's behavior. The next theory is constructivist theory. Constructivist theory that we shall be looking at here is the one provided by Jerome Bruner. It says that learning is an active process in which learner construct new ideas or concepts based upon their current or past knowledge. It's saying that for learning to take place is an active process. That is, it's a process and the process is active. And the process is active in which, the learner has to construct the knowledge by him or herself. The learner construct the knowledge based on or from either the current knowledge or the past knowledge. That is, the learner construct a new idea from what you are teaching as a teacher, from what the learner has been exposed to, or from what the learner is just being exposed to. So the theory says that the learner selects and transforms information, constructs hypotheses, and make decisions relying on a cognitive structure to do so. So the learner selects from the past knowledge or from the current knowledge that the learner is being exposed to, construct the new ideas from that, and transfer the information for learning to take place. In biology teaching and learning, the implication of this theory is that biology instruction must be concerned with experience or experiences and context that make students willing and able to learn. And biology instruction must be structured and designed in such a way that students will be, it will be easy for students to grasp and also facilitate the extrapolation or the filling of gaps, which will clear the students' understanding. Now, Another theory is social learning theory. When we talk about social learning theory, this one is the one that they were considering here, is the one propounded by Albert Bandura. It's a theory of learning and social structure. So this theory is saying that learning takes place as a function of the social behavior as well as a cognitive process. So it's saying that learning is not purely behavioral. It's a cognitive process that takes place in a social context. That is, learning, as far as Bandura is concerned in social learning theory, saying that learning is that learning takes place as a result of cognitive process in a social context. The learner is not a passive recipient of information. So this theory is saying that the learner is not a passive recipient of information. That is, the learner is not just somebody that will sit down and just receive information, but it is cognition, environment, and behavior that influence each other or mutually influences one another for learning to take place. And the implication is that biology students should engage in a cooperative learning of biology contents. That is, for learning to take place, this theory is saying that if you want to apply this, or the implication of this in biology is that the students must engage themselves in a cooperative learning of biology contents. That is the social environment. That's the social behavior. Biology content materials should be learned a little at a time and on a continuous basis. That is, biology content should be learned on a continuous basis and a little at a time, not just a large volume of content, putting many concepts together once and you forget about it. No, it must be a little at a time and it must be on a continuous basis. And biology teachers and students should engage in active teaching and learning respectively. That is, the biology teacher must be active as well as the student too. They must be active, and that is what's going to make learning in a biology student. And that is why we say this theory is saying that the teacher, the biology teacher, and the biology student, they must engage in active teaching and learning respectively. Now, the other theory that we are going to look at is social development theory. The social development theory that we're looking at is the one propounded by Lev Vygotsky. Lev Vygotsky says in his theory that social interaction plays a fundamental role in the development of cognition. Cognition is important in learning, but Vygotsky is saying that for the development of cognition to take place, social interaction plays a fundamental role. That is, the social interaction with community, social interaction with the environment plays a very important role. So we say here that consciousness and cognition, they are products of socialization and social behavior. The cognition, consciousness, they are products. That is, they are as a result of socialization you have with environment and social behavior. The theory is in three categories. We have the social interaction, the more knowledgeable order, and the zone of proximal development. The social interaction talks about the reaction, the social or the interaction with the social environment. The more knowledgeable order, what are to be learned, in the order to which are to be learned, then the proximal of development, which is the third one. Now, what is the implication of this in biology teaching and learning? Saying that biology students are to play an active role in the learning context. Students or biology students are not expected to be passive. They are supposed to play active role. And the biology teacher is expected to facilitate, not to stand in front and continue to teach, not to do all the talking, but to facilitate the learning process in the biology student. It also says that it provides clear direction. You see, when students are actively involved in the process of learning, it provides clear direction to the student. That is the direction of what is to be learned, it gives to the student, and it clarifies the purpose of the task. The task in which the students are engaged on, you have a clear or clarifies a knowledge, and it keeps the student on test. That is the student will be active. Once the student is active, or once the students or learners are active on particular task, definitely they will be active, and they will be definitely on the task. And so those are just the four theories that we're going to look at, and look at their implication in the teaching and learning of biology. We're going to look at a new topic which we may not finish now. We'll continue in our next lecture, and that is methods of teaching biology. When we talk about methods of teaching biology, is the type of principles used for instruction depending on the information or skills the teacher wants to convey. That is, when you talk about methods of teaching, they are the principles, types of principles that are being used for instruction. And this actually depends on the information or even the skills that the teacher intends to pass across to the student. So the first one that we shall look at, we are going to look at the first method we're going to look at, lecture method. There are different methods or different approaches of teaching biology. So we're going to look at some of them. The first one we're going to look at is lecture method. Lecture method is also referred to as a talk and chalk method. That is, you write as you talk. Though we don't use chalk nowadays, but the method that's being referred to as a is being referred to and has since been referred to as a talk and chalk method. It's a one-way flow of information. It's a method in which the teacher stands in front of the class or in front of the student and continue to pass the information to the student. The teacher teaches and the students are expected to listen and learn. It's a quick and straightforward way to impart knowledge to the student. You know, it's very easy when you quickly want to pass some knowledge to students. It's a quick way because the teacher will be involved in talk. And it's always very easy to cover a lot of ground. You can cover so many topics through that. But one thing is that auditory learners find the lecture appeal to them, especially to their learning styles. Auditory learners are those ones that learn through listening. So when the teacher talks in this type of using this type of method, those ones that are auditory learners, they are more favored. And that is why we say that this type of method encourages memorization. When the teacher talks and writes, students may not necessarily learn, students may not necessarily understand. They just carry what the teacher has written and they just memorize. And when it's a time for test, exam, or any form of assessment, the students just pour the something down. Then the students who are, weak in note taking, that is, those ones that are weak in note taking skills, they may have problems because when the teacher writes, those ones may be slow in writing of a note. So most times this lecture method has more disadvantages to the students because it's only the teacher that is active. So we continue from there in the next lecture. Thank you.